Please welcome to the stage a 5-time winner on the Challenge and the Development Tours, Kevin Doets. Now please welcome to the stage the current Masters champion, Stephen Bunting.
Well, we have got some names in the hat already for the last 16 here at the UK Open, and the latest one to go in there is Smash Martin Lukeman, who's won the last 3 legs to knock out former champion Danny Noppert in a last leg decider. Some blinding contests already today in this afternoon session. Lukeman 10-9 against Noppert, Luke Woodhouse 10-9 against Michael Smith, the world number 3, and Ross Smith, you saw on this board, beaten 10-8, despite 10-1-8, he's a 97.5 average by Johnny the Ferret Clayton. Looks like we could have another absolute Brahma on the main stage as well, because Martin Schindler is sticking in there against Luke Littler, who's been playing sublime stuff, but it is 9-8 Littler in that contest. Could be going all the way there. But we have the People's Champion, Stephen Bunting, and the fans have already begun to go Bunting mental. But Kevin Doets, he is not to be underestimated. This is a guy who is making, I don't want to say huge progress, but progress. He is getting better as a player. Reached his first ranking final at the back end of last year, gave Michael Smith a real run for his money at the World Championship, played some good stuff in Den Bosch in the Netherlands and the World Series events, and I think that things are starting to come together for the Dutchman who is based in Sweden. You only have to look at his UK Open record to see how things have progressed. In the first couple of appearances, he managed to win a couple of games in his debut. He managed to win a couple of games the following year. 2022 didn't go well. He lost out to Barry Van Peer. But last year he won 3 games. Here he's won 2 games already and is now having a crack at Bunting. He keeps coming to the UK Open and he is putting wins together, not just odd victories here and there. And maybe this could be his best run yet.
We all know the talent that Kevin has, but the question mark has to loom around him. Does it ever come out? You have to go through players like Bunting on occasion to prove it. If you think about who he's played so far, Robert Owen, Daniel Closer, they are games that you would fancy him to win. This one is a very different prospect, especially when Bunting is fresh off winning his biggest ever PDC title at the Masters.
140.
He's so much experience of the UK Open. One of a few players in this tournament who has sampled both here and Bolton.
180.
There's a metric that I think Doets can match Bunting. And Bunting's a big old scorer nowadays, but I think Doets can match him in the 180s, maybe even better him. We'll see how this game unfolds.
Kevin, you're going 121.
Bunting, a former semi-finalist, of course, in the UK Open. Bullseye. He's pinned, and that's 301 points cleared in 2 visits to the board.
Kevin to throw first.
Calm, casual, and brilliant. Not noted as a very vocal or animated type of Dutch player. He's not a Dirk or an MVG. He's more along the lines of a Noppy, who is now outside of the top 10 in the world, courtesy of that loss to Smash. But it's not the end of the world. He's only got down to 12.
Yes, quite.
Maybe it's something to do with the haircut. He's got a new fringe as Kevin Doets, and maybe that's the key to his success. I'm only joking, but it's a very impressive fringe. It's as good a fringe as Jim Williams' quiff.
It's better than that. Bunting levels things up in the 180 count. Can tell you that Luke Littler has overcome Martin Schindler by 10 legs to 8. The conqueror of Gerwin Bryce unable to stop the sensational teenager Luke Littler, who in that match, he's posted another ton-plus average, I believe.
I just wonder who Littler's going to be playing on the main stage tonight.
Might stick him on stage 2.
It's not going to happen, Dan.
No, they won't.
Even if he gets Ricky Evans, he's going to be on the main stage. No disrespect to Ricky, because he's been excellent in this tournament.
Yeah, Ricky might beat him if they go head-to-head. Playing some very, very good stuff.
58.
But that draw is going to be fascinating.
68.
This is going to be a slower match for Bunting today, considering who he played yesterday in Danny Lauby. A double 16 for Bunting.
36.
Wide of the mark, but will return. It was only a 92 and change average yesterday from Stephen, but you would fancy that there's more in the tank. Even though he hit 7 180s yesterday against Danny,
Stephen,
and
you
did have
32.
a 156 checkout in there. Now that is a marker for him. That is not.
16.
Now it's a chance for Doets.
Kevin, you require 62.
Well, stuck to his task, Kevin Doets. He's got him this opportunity, and it's double 16. Now double 8. Kevin Doets takes a 2-0 lead. And while he certainly deserved that opening leg, he got away with that second one.
It does not give a lot away. Honestly, it's like playing AI with Kevin Doets. If the Nasdaq went down 500,000 points, he would have the same reaction.
Well, that evidently his time in Sweden is rubbing off on him.
Is he playing this game like Dennis Nielsen Pump Cyan?
Yeah. Mind you, I mean, Magnus Carris is known as poker face, and he was definitely not poker faced as a player. You knew exactly what Magnus was thinking, and often it was, oh dear, I missed again.
You're cruel.
Semi-finalist on the Euro Tour, Magnus Carris. One of the great runs from the Nordic and Baltic players, and of course an incredible run back in the day at Lakeside as well.
I played him in the semi-finals of the Spanish Open in 2012. A tournament won by Justin Pipe.
One of the greats from that part of the world, alongside the likes of Stefan Lord.
96.
Sweden's had some great players. Got some good players now. Johan Engström. I'm sure we'll get some Swedish representation on the European Tour this year. And we do have some Danish representation in the last 32 of the UK Open. Benjamin Drew Royce is still in this event.
He is, and he's done some very encouraging stuff, Benjamin Royce, over the last couple of years. But, and I hesitate to use this phrase because it is vastly overused. If he wins today against Cool Hand Luke Humphreys, that will be the biggest win.
167.
Unquestionably. Bunting's got to get on the board somehow. He's maybe staring at 3-0. The way that Kevin's finished so far,
Kevin, 170.
he's looked extremely likely to do something like this. Double top.
77.
Just get the feeling that darts 2 and 3 are a
65.
tiny bit quick. First dart, tempo-wise, looks perfect. After that, sometimes you can get rid of that dart just a bit too much like a hot potato.
Oh, that's a horrible miss. But he's rectified it and takes out double 12. Well, there's always the danger when you go for the 25 on that 65 finish. It can go anywhere, and if it goes in the 2, you may only get 1 dart at the bullseye. In the end, he got the treble 13 and managed to rescue the situation.
I'm just thinking on the fly here, Dan, but there can't be many players who have done the Masters double, as in winning the World Masters and the PDC Masters. I know MVG's done it. Stephen's done it.
Taylor, presumably?
57.
Yeah, but there won't be many.
$45.
Well, when you look at Kevin Doets, it's... When we were talking about Ross Smith earlier on, and talking about his, not robotic action, but the fact that there are a lot of set positions, and he can repeat it, and that's why he's so devastatingly good.
57.
With Kevin Doets, there's none of that. It is so it looks so loose and free and easy. Just looks liquid.
140.
And maybe that's one of the reasons why you thought maybe he was a little bit quick in letting go of a couple of darts in that previous leg. But he does look, it doesn't look like he's expending any effort. It's just a very, very easy thing for him to stand there and just glide those darts towards the board.
Yeah, glide is a lovely word. You don't see a great deal of effort in that Doets throw, but you see an awful lot of punctuation on Stephen Bunting's thrusting of an 18-gram dot.
Big safe 16 for the bull. And the bull is pinned, and Stephen Bunting gets himself back on level terms.
Stephen to throw first. Game on.
Yeah, just to confirm, Phil Taylor is on that list. He won the World Masters in 1990. And the PDC Masters only once in 2013. But he also won the Larder UK Masters in 1994, if you just want to add a little bit of extra sauce on that. Mervyn King could have done it because he won the World Masters, but missed out on beating James Wade.
Yes.
10 years ago.
Yes, in a thoroughly entertaining contest. As they often are with Merv. Playing some decent darts again is Mervyn King at the start of this year. Needs to, because he's got a real mission on to save his professional status.
That is the list, by the way. 3 players have won the PDC Masters and the World Masters. Bunting, MVG, Taylor. That's a nice group.
Esteemed company for Phil Taylor.
What a nice trophy for that tournament as well. I think it was very nice. Looked very nice next to him in bed the following morning, by the way.
Yes, that was something that Stephen posted on social media rather than Paul Nicholson looking through his curtains.
Have you paid much attention to his TikTok account, by the way? Because I haven't seen it.
Forensic attention to it. It's one of the most incredible things I've ever witnessed.
That good?
Eye-opening.
140.
Let's have a look at it then.
Kevin, 132.
Well, we've seen this today from Rob Cross.
What a guide. Oh, he's nowhere near the 57.
64.
But that looked absolutely perfect to try and find the bullseye. But this is a great chance for Bunting to make it 3 legs on the spin and hit the front. Double 12. Really, really good. So Stephen Bunting taking charge of this game right now. We did see in the previous match that Josh Rock took the opening 2 legs, looking like the better player against Rob Cross. And come the end of the match, he was absolutely powerless to stop Rob Cross. And he got a bit of a hiding. Stephen Bunting will be hoping the same pattern develops here.
He's really starting to warm to this encounter, isn't he? A fairly tepid start that Doets took full advantage of, but Bunting has got
58.
a lot more experience than people realise when it comes to big stage darts. He's been playing at a very high level for a quarter of a century. Since he was Luke's age, as in Littler, not Woodhouse or Humphreys, by the way, because there are 3 Lukes in the tournament. One of them's a world champion, one's called Littler and one's called The Shed.
Yeah, The Shed's still in it after his brilliant victory against Michael Smith. Oh, that's the dart. And that's why he's visibly annoyed.
140.
Does get the treble with the third dart, though, to get to a finish.
Our latest scores on the outside boards: Keen Barry 6, Meikle 2. Keen Barry's up to something here this weekend, and Dave Chisnell is 6-4 down to Mensur.
Look, Keen Barry, we know he's amazing on the development tour in the opening weekend of it, so it's not that much of a surprise to see him doing bits here this weekend. Mensur, so where's this come from? I know he's thrown some half-decent averages on the Pro Tour, but he's not exactly won many games.
He's threatening to retire at the end of next season. Is this going to be the final Mensur flourish over the next 18 months? But yeah, it's really good for Mensur. 97 average, leading Chisnell after 10 legs. This is to lead by 2 legs for Bunting, who was really starting to put his foot down.
It's all Bunting at the minute. Kevin Doets missed a dart at tops for the 117 checkout in leg 3, but the 3 legs that have followed that, he has not had a dart at double.
45.
Got an awful lot of support. And people shouting what is becoming a very famous line wherever Stephen goes: "Let's go Bunting mental." It's been heard here today.
Yeah, he has been pushing that particular line on social media for a long while, Stephen. Like, we're talking years, and nobody's really gone with it until the last year or so, where his popularity has just gone through the roof. And he's not done anything differently, but people have started paying attention to it.
It's very simple, isn't it? You need a small, easy, catchy statement. Oh, Michael van Gerwen. That seems to have stuck around for the last decade. Let's go Bunting mental's got a bit of traction, and a bit like something you told me off the air from Den Bosch. Doets, there it is.
Yeah, the Dutch fans came up with that. I really like it. Don't know why Kevin Doets hasn't adopted that as his walk-on. I think it's quite good.
Yes, Kevin, pay attention. This is free advice. Look what happened to Vincent van der Voort's popularity when he went with KC and the Sunshine Band, a song that he despises.
Yeah,
but for his brand, it worked.
Yeah, now he's forever trapped in a KC and the Sunshine Band prison. The frustration. People keep singing it at him.
140.
He's not of the most sunny disposition at the best of times. 157 for Bunting. To make it 5 legs on the spin. He might get 2 visits from here anyway. Gonna need him.
Kevin's got to get a hold of Stephen before he's in the wind. That would have been a perfect way to do it, but Stephen has got a chance of getting to the halfway point here. At 60 in tops, which was famously hit by Graham Usher yesterday against Searle in the last leg of the match with the last 2 darts. 2 needed? Only 2 to get to 5-2. Wonderful checkout from Stephen, who is cantering at the minute with 5 straight legs. Do you get the feeling that because of the way that Stephen's played the last 12 months, and particularly the last 6, at some point has he said to himself, why didn't I go to 18 grams before?
You do wonder, don't you, because he persevered with a very, very light dart, far lighter than anybody else in the game, for so very long, insisting that there's no need to change. But kind of on a whim, had a practice with these darts, hit a couple of 9 darts, and yeah, these are the ones for me. And he's not looked back. And as I will reiterate, it is rarely the darts that are the issue. It's the guy throwing them. But when you make such a big change, that can have an impact, and I think perhaps we are seeing that he can be a little bit more consistent, perhaps in the scoring phase particularly.
Well, look what happened to Taylor around 2008, 2009 when he went to the small bulbous barrels. We all thought this change makes no sense. He's used cylindrical longer barrels for the entirety of his career. Oh yeah, he got better. Much better.
100.
Kevin Doets is giving himself an opportunity here to just stop this streak that Bunting is on. And he doesn't have to panic just yet because he got those first 2 legs of the match. And if he can just hold his throw until the break, he'd go in 6-4 down. That's manageable. If it's any worse than that, he's got a problem.
That was all right for Johnny Clayton.
80.
Only just.
I wonder what Kevin Doets' heart rate is right now. It's probably about 50.
It doesn't look like he's going to get flustered, does he?
He's got about as much emotion as a chess piece.
You require 16.
That can be a really big ally in a game like this, where you're just trying to mosey on and get closer to your opponent. If he can break in leg number 9, he could indeed go into the break level, which would stop the momentum of Bunting.
140.
Keane Barry's 8-2 up on Ryan Meikle, and I know we saw 8-2 yesterday for Searle against Usher, but the way Keane's playing at the minute, I just don't see him losing from that position.
Might be surprising, wouldn't it? That's at the 10-leg break, of course. It's at 6-4 Mental Sulevic at the mid-game break. They do have a mid-game break in the outer boards, don't they? They're not playing 20 legs straight through.
Yeah, I remember playing a best of 19 match on the Bolton outer boards and here once against Paul Hogan. I'm so far behind I just sat on the edge of the stage and contemplated when I was going to leave.
How different is it as a player when you're playing in this multi-board setup with fans? And I know it used to be a bit busier and more open to the public and say the Pro Tour events than it is now, where it's a lot more secluded and shut off, particularly on the streaming boards, obviously.
59.
But how different is it when you're playing in, say, that multi-board setup and it's just carnage, there's stuff going on all over the place, and you're trying to focus on what could be one of the biggest matches of your career? Certainly if you're one of the Riley's qualifiers, but if you're one of the lower ranked players in a round like today, looking to get in the last 16.
Yeah, it's got a really individual identity. You go to any Pro Tour event or even Challenge Tour, Dev Tour, they all feel the same because you've got segmented board areas with dividers between them, but in the multi-board room up there's no dividers between the boards, and there's a few hundred people in there who are shouting at a certain match. And you're going to hear everything. Your focus is going to be tested like no other venue. The only thing I can really think of that was anywhere close to it was when we used to have 2 boards on the Euro Tour in the same room in places like Berlin, and that was right at the start of the Euro Tour. They don't do that anymore.
Well, this could be an important little passage because Bunting's under pressure on his own throw here. He wants to preserve the advantage he's got, and he's not going to do that by taking the 150. He does leave himself very well placed, but this is an opportunity for Doets, and they've been in short supply in this game over the last few legs. Double 11 is found. Kevin Doets is right back in this contest. He breaks Bunting. He won the first 2 legs. He lost the next 5. He's won back-to-back legs here. In a hold of throw, we got a level game.
Doets, there it is.
Quite.
Got to get me a fringe.
96.
Very, very talented. Great, great player. And maybe the next Dutch player that could make a real song and dance up the rankings if he can do more of this, that's for sure. We've talked about Noppy over the last few years. We've talked about Dirk. There are so many excellent Dutch talents that it has to be seen as one of the premier nations in world darts for the last 30 years now.
Yeah, and look, there's more competition now that the Belgians are establishing themselves, obviously. We've got some tour card holders from Denmark and Italy now as well, but you know, with the likes of Van Veen, who's still in the tournament here, Vessel Nyman, who looks amazing. And Kevin Doets is a bit older than those two.
108.
Rude health.
How valuable could that be? Or will it be? Double 10.
120.
Chance to go level at the break. If Bunting hits this, he will be elated. He's just dodged a bullet, no pun intended, but it's double 12.
Can he use that? Yes, he can. Stephen Bunting hits back and maintains that break of throw advantage. Kevin Doets had rallied and looked like he was going to go into the break level. He trails 6-4. The Masters champion needs 4 more legs to book his place in the last 16. Well, we find ourselves in a familiar position at the break in the match. It is 6-4. It is in favour of Stephen Bunting. Now, that advantage has not always translated to a victory. We did see Rob Cross 7-3 up and run away with it, but Ross Smith this afternoon was 6-4 up and playing brilliantly and ended up going down 10-8 to Johnny Clayton. We saw a few cases of it yesterday where the player had come from behind after the mid-game break. This game has gone in spells. It was Doets for the first couple of legs. Bunting rattled off 5 legs on the spin. And then Kevin Doets was coming right back at him, but a missed start at double 10 for a 140 checkout means it is 6-4 Bunting, not 5-all. And can the Bullet, the man who won the Masters, continue his quest for back-to-back major titles?
Well, if I may impart a little bit of positivity towards Doets, he won't be able to hear this, but here's something that can happen when you're 6-4 down at the break. How about winning the next 3 legs to go in front? Because that's exactly what Dave Chisnell's done against Mincer Sulevic. He's now 7-6 up after being 6-4 down at the break. However, as far as the other game is concerned on the outside boards, Keenbarry has disposed of Ryan Meikle by 10 legs to 3. And Dynamite is in the hat for the last 16, not for the first time.
Yeah, former semi-finalist here, Keenbarry. That was a couple of years ago when Danny Noppert went on to take the title. Losing semi-finalists Keenbarry and Willie O'Connor, the 2 Irish players, who were World Cup teammates, of course, last year and set to be again, I would think. Unless Steve Lennon does something absolutely ridiculous between now and the World Cup.
We shall see.
100.
Willie O'Connor didn't even win a leg in this tournament.
Ironed out to 0. Now Bunting looking at the 18s. Now the treble 20. Not going to get it. And Doets, 111. He's already had checkouts of 121. Came close to the 140. Not going to take this one, though.
99. Stephen Unicorn, 65.
So a couple of routes for this yesterday. A lot of treble 19 action. But predominantly, people still go that route. And that's why. Because you want 2 darts at double. 25 segment is fairly generous. That pesky bull in the middle sometimes can stop you, but not for Stephen right there, who wins leg 11. Bit of a Brahma on the main stage between Hetter and Aspinall. They're knocking 7 bells out of each other. This one is in that low to mid 90s range, which is where they want to be at worst. We know that Bunting and Doets have got a lot more in the locker, but it's not about putting in those massive numbers. You just got to beat the person that's in front of you. You don't care whether it's 81, 91 or 101. You just want to have more than your opponent in the leg column.
Yeah, the 105.19 average in the end for Rob Cross this afternoon is as good as we've seen from anybody so far this tournament. And of course, added kudos for that being first to 10 legs compared to first to 6 in a lot of the matches that have gone on thus far.
A lot of people think, you know, when you want to put in a massive average, that it's more likely in a short format. What about if you want more legs to improve it instead of playing more legs where it'll wither?
Well, yes, obviously, but you are still more likely to see massive ranges of averages, aren't you? I mean, you see on the development tour, you can see the 115s, but you can see stuff in the low 70s. Double 16.
54.
They're going to have to start going for Kevin Doets.
This is trouble.
He's a bit of an expert at these finishes, Bunting. His run to the World semi-final was peppered with ton plus finishes. He was taking out loads on his way to the Masters title. And that leaves tops. And he is not far away from another ton plus finish.
My word, that wire weighs more. Oh, sorry, weighs less now. He's got no chance of winning leg number 12. It's gone to the Dutchman, who has succeeded at the Development Tour and the Challenge Tour, but his next step is to just take that one step further. You mentioned earlier, Dan, that he's already got to a Pro Tour final. One step further, and then we can start talking about him in a very different breath.
Yeah, true, but at the same time, you know, we've seen players on this board, the likes of Martin Schindler, Gabriel Clemens, the two Germans, both made Pro Tour finals, and Clemens was in a World semi-final. You can do stuff even without winning floor events or Pro Tour titles. You can certainly make a lot of money and make a great living. I mean, Simon Whitlock has been plying his trade for years and years and years. He hasn't won a ranking title since 2017. But Simon Whitlock has been, at that time, making quarterfinals of majors and semi-finals of the Slam.
I think an interesting question to ask somebody would be, would you rather have a semi-final of the World Championship and lose, or win a Euro Tour? Now, there's a difference of £70,000 in that regard. But if you ask me the question, I'd have the Euro Tour.
Well, you evidently have more money than sense, Paul.
No, it's not about the money.
It is about the money.
I always wanted to win the titles, and I had 3 darts to win a Euro Tour and didn't, so it's probably got something to do with that.
You haven't won one yet. Mind you, neither have I.
56. Stephen, you require one.
Neither has Stephen. He's been in 2 finals.
He has.
In Czechia and Germany last year, where he lost to Ratajski. That was pretty much the precursor to what we've seen from him in the last few months.
142 for the Bullets. He'll stay there. Double 11. Well, he's missed the double for 142. He missed the double for a 108 in the last leg. He could be on the brink of victory already.
Double top. Oh, look at that. A little bit of gumption there from Doets. There it is. I'm not going to let it go. And he's not letting this game go either. 7-6 now is very different to what it could have looked like had Bunting taken those 2 shots.
Well, Kevin Doets throwing to level the match. And Stephen Bunting will be kicking himself. But it's not as if he's been brilliant, Bunting. And he'll be scratching his head wondering how have I not won this already. He knows he hasn't been his absolute best, and that is always going to open the door for a player of Doets' quality to at least make a fight of this.
The aforementioned Christoph Ratajski, the German Open champion, is just about to take on Mervyn King on board 4. Nice to see Merv in the last 32. It's going to be an interesting game between 2 world masters.
59.
Also getting underway on board 3, Vincent van der Voort and Dimitri van den Berg.
125.
Interesting game, that. Van der Voort didn't play brilliant yesterday, but found his way to Saturday. Very, very big congratulations to him, because I know he was really disappointed not to make Alexandra Palace at the end of last year.
100.
I'm quite interested to see how Dimitri progresses this year. He's always been a big stage player. His floor form has never been the best, but I do feel that his malaise over the last year or 2 has been slightly overblown. I don't think he's that. I don't think he's struggling as much as he's suggested.
Maybe he's under the microscope more than most, being the Belgian #1 and a former match play champion. Bunting is on another out that is very doable here, and if he misses another one, Doets is ready to pounce on something very similar.
Once again, he gets a dart for the ton plus checkout, and this time Stephen Bunting takes it. 3 legs running. He'd had chances. 3rd time lucky. And that's the break back to just put Doets back in his place and keep that break of throw advantage. 2 up, 2 away.
Is Stephen Bunting the best player to have ever come from Merseyside?
40.
It's a really interesting comment, this, because I was speaking to Andy Hamilton this morning, the former UK Open finalist. He said to me once that he was the world number 5, but he was the number 3 in Stoke. It was a great line. But you think about Bunting as a world champion, but then again, Michael Smith is from Merseyside too. So is Alan Tabban. Just wanted to throw a bit of a hipster name in there.
Steve McNally.
40.
Mickey Brooks. These are all names that the Bullet has played county darts with. The Palfreyman boys.
180.
I'm not sure they're quite in that particular discussion. A fifth 180 for Kevin Doets. I did say that he could match or even better Bunting in that metric. That he's doing. But there's not been quite enough stuff around it, not yet. But he is getting to that point where if he does put it together for a little 5-minute spurt, he can make a dash for the line and nip past the Bullet.
That could have been a lot better from Doets. Trebled his visit at a very bad time, because Bunting might get 6 from this position, and he's going to be better off.
85.
But only just.
Kevin
That last dart
21.
is something he didn't want to see.
Took this out at the very start of the match. Is he going to do it again? Yes, he is. It's a brace of 1-2-1 checkouts for Kevin Doets. And it is break after break here, 3 in a row. Doets originally broke to get himself right back in the game and on throw. Then Bunting put him back in his place, and Doets would not stay there.
I think he enjoyed that.
140.
Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. This is a great game all of a sudden. But is it a question of whether Bunting can keep that advantage, or will he be reeled in?
58.
In the main stage, Aspinall leads Damon Heta by 5 legs to 3, both averaging around 100. I didn't really expect them to play any worse than that. They're both right in the middle of a very good patch. Both winning this year in different regards. One has won in the Premier League very recently, and Damon Heta has won on the Pro Tour.
98.
Bunting, the winner this season from this game, is looking possibly at 8-all.
Pretty much nailed on from this position.
57.
Nothing from Stephen Bunting. Doets looking for a ton 40. Which he gets.
140.
Mannerisms from Stephen at the minute are one of feeling edgy. Just a little bit of fiddling with the glasses, walking to the table and back. And this is where all of that training that you do with your psychologist and your team, this is where it pays off. It's when you're under stressful situations, and it's very much a stressful situation now because it's best of 3 from here.
Stephen to throw first. Game on.
I was watching a snooker recently, and Elliot Slesser was sat in his chair during the final, I think it was, just pulling out these little notes that his psychologist had written things to think about during the game. He lost in the final.
You get a lot of time to think, though, in a snooker match because you're sitting down. You don't get a chance to sit down in darts.
You do, depending on who you're playing.
Well, I famously sat down once. It didn't go down very well.
100.
Kevin Doets is making a move here. Look at him go. 4 perfect darts to start the leg on the Bunting throw. And I think Kevin Doets has just become... He might have become favourite for this match. He's certainly close.
Bunting needs a little catalyst here, and he needs it quickly.
Nice.
His ability to find key shots in the last 5 legs, it's been sparse. He might just need that 164. Doets is very well off in 2-dart territory now. I really thought he was going to leave 121 for a 3rd time there.
He was 7-4 up Bunting. He missed a dart for 8-4. He missed a dart for 8-5. He did manage to get 8-6. But Doets has been better in this second half of the game. And Bunting has faded a little. But has he got enough? He hasn't for the 164.
81. Kevin, you require 81.
Hated that dart. You didn't need me to tell you. But Doets is on for double 13. That's monstrous. He hits the front and has a chance to serve it out 10-8.
5 of the last 6 legs have gone to the Dutchman against the Masters champion. We have already seen victories today in this round for the likes of Martin Lukeman, Keane Barry, Ricky Evans, Luke Woodhouse. Is Kevin Doets going to join them? And another big name and a reigning major champion is consigned to the scrap heap for the UK Open this year.
This is why we love this tournament.
140.
Even with Biff Tannen's almanac, you couldn't predict this stuff. Doets has never been in this sort of position before. How does he handle it?
Well, we said when he was 8-6 down, we said he's in this position. If he makes a sprint for the line and puts a burst together, he can turn this around. And he has gone 12 dart break, 15 dart hold, 12 dart break. Textbook stuff. Limit your opponent to 4 visits per leg, and you've always got a chance. But that is an important last dart from Doets there. However, I think Bunting's just become favourite for the match again.
Where's Jon Snow with that swingometer at the minute? Because it's all red at the minute. Maybe it's Bunting's turn to get a 1-2-1. It will be very welcomed. And he can take his time with it. He doesn't have to go for the bullseye at the end. He might even start with it.
I'm pretty sure he will start with it. Well, he tried. And it's a bit of a mess, because a 2-treble visit here could get Doets to a 2-darter, and Bunting may only get 1 dart at double from 70. Oh, there's pressure on this now.
Stephen, you require
what are you made of right now? Are you as strong as titanium? Silence in Red's bar. That miss could mean the end of Stephen Bunting. This is to send Kevin Doets into the last 16 of the UK Open for the first time in his career at the 5th attempt.
Double, double. There's one, double top. Match start missed by Kevin Doets. Stephen Bunting survives, and if he takes this out, and the finishing has been good from both in this game, he'd have the darts in the last leg decider.
Two 8s. Can't save his bacon. Here comes Doets for our second 10-8 win on this stage here this afternoon, to follow in the footsteps of the ferret Johnny Clayton.
40.
For the first time in the last 16 of the UK Open. Double top. Surely. No! He cannot believe it.
Is Edwin van der Sar in front of that tops? How did that miss?
You require 8.
Kevin Doets was staring at that last dart as if he did not understand how it was not match dart. And ultimately, that might be the only chance he gets to win. He has missed 4 darts for the match, all at tops, Kevin Doets. And he somehow has to recompose and find a breaker throw in the last leg decider.
Stephen Bunting's feeling like Alyssa Milano at the minute. He's leading a charmed life. My word, how did that tops miss with dart 3? Doets must forget about that now and try and break again. Or is Bunting going to do what Usher did yesterday to Searle in winning the last 2 legs of the contest to win 10-9?
Sometimes it's not about how brilliant you are, not about how consistent you are. It's about getting the right little bit of fortune and then capitalising upon it. He should have lost in the first round of the Masters to Ross Smith, Stephen Bunting. He didn't. He survived match darts there, went on and took the title, the biggest title of his PDC career. Doets has missed 4 for the match here, and tomorrow night Bunting could be the UK Open champion, but he's got to get this done from here to have a chance.
It's these legs that tell you where you are with your game in every facet. Technically, mentally, Let's see what you're made of. What a dart that is. Second dart almost swerved around the first one.
We've said all game about how Kevin Doets is unflappable. He doesn't give much away, but even he couldn't conceal how crestfallen he was at those missed match darts. What is going through his head?
Bunting is thinking right now, just get me over the line. This has been a stunning last leg. But then again, yesterday, Price was stunning in the last leg and didn't get it done. But you do fancy that Stephen's going to.
Frustration evident from the normally inscrutable Kevin Doets. Hawkeye had darts to win it, did not take the chances, and the bullet Stephen Bunting survives 4 match darts to win another thriller here on stage 2. The Masters champ is still in the UK Open, but my word, he probably shouldn't be.